negative 0.32%, 100 0.17, the Dow Jones negative 0.5%, Russell 2000 negative 0.35, and the S&P 500 down negative 0.52%. What happened today? Iran threatened a new offensive strike, while the U.S. rolls out extending ceasefire deals. And also, right, we still have this issue we keep talking about here in the Discord, here on these YouTube videos. Again, if you haven't liked, share, subscribe, please make sure that you do that. It really does help me against the algorithm here. And again, one thing that we keep talking about here is, we keep repeating here, is oil is not under control. We don't need chips. We really need fucking oil. What are we smoking? And I think sometimes, like, right, it feels like the market just goes up on lies, right, but it always crashes on the truth here. With that being said, right, even though sometimes you get frustrated as a trader, you need to not trade your emotions. You have to trade what is right in front of you. Take what the market gives, not what your emotions are thinking here. Going over here to the Nasdaq here, I have these chart patterns here labeled out here. Today we did create a lower high here on the Nasdaq. We have an evening star forming, which is right here. Here's a reference. We also have a dark cloud cover here, also forming here again. And one thing that I like to pay attention to when I'm looking at charts in the market is the velocity of the moves here. What do I mean by that? Let me go to my next chart here. We also do have a rate of change shifting over here, and we do have our RSI not quite rolling over here, right? But it's flat. We do want to see that curling up, not just, stagnant here, which also explains the chop. When we talk about, the Nasdaq being stagnant here, what I mean by that is what? Okay, of course, I can't find my charts, whatever. Okay, anyways, going back over here, this is one of the plays that we took here in our Discord, and I want to point out one thing that traders keep missing here. This trade was called out here, real time, timestamp, live traded, can be corroborated by my Discord, right? This was called out at 10:03 a.m., right? And it printed at 10:05 a.m. $1,000 in 2 minutes, right, on a 0-day on Micron. This was obviously the final result here. And I want to highlight to you, if you're watching the videos, just consider joining the next live stream, joining the Discord again. Remember to like, share, subscribe. It really does help me out here. You have to be watching these charts to the literal tick here, right? Where is my entry at? 10:03. Mark 10:03 right here, at the very bottom of the tick right here, okay? Where is our exit? At the very top of the tick here, right? This is corroborated here by the screenshot, also saying, hey, we should all be fully out. Obviously not financial advice. Nothing that I say here in this channel is for financial advice. It's all entertainment purposes only, right? But one thing that traders try to ridicule me and other people for is, not holding positions for a long time. But guys, this is not the market, right, to have a big ego. Like, oh, I want to have $20,000 screenshot. This is not the market. Let me repeat again. This is not the market, right, that you want to be having all these crazy screenshots holding, positions to 0 days, right, till the end of the day, right? Some trades last a few minutes, right? And obviously there's nothing you or I can do about a trade that gets wicked out. This isn't the place to have an ego. Some trades last even seconds. That is the market that we are in. You have to respect the ones who are trading the charts to the little seconds and the market, right? The skills that will naturally come by over time, right? It's not going to be by reading the charts. It's going to be by discipline. Discipline to know, hey, it's over. The party's over. You have to exit out, right? Otherwise, that's the difference of having $1,000 in your pocket or no money at all before the end of the day, right? And traders make the same mistake every single day of the week. Coming back over here to crude oil, one thing that we have been looking at and we've been telling you here in the videos, it all kind of syncs together, which is why it's important to watch the full video to the end, is that, right, crude oil week over week is up 15%, over the past 40 days is up 15% here. That's not something you want to see. I'm not really a fan of chart patterns on something like a macro chart like this. Obviously you can say every chart's macro, whatever, you know what I'm saying, right? This is obviously like more geopolitical, right? I don't know what Iran's going to do here, right? But we do have a resistance right here at 84.1, right? What happens when you blow past your resistance here, right? One of my favorite charts I've been trying to show you here, and you can kind of see it on every single chart. You could actually argue you have a cup and handle here, which is a chart pattern here as well. One of the charts that this looks like right here, by the way, Amazon also has a possible cup and handle forming, right, is what's the point here? You keep breaking these highs up here. You can almost see it setting up here. Again, the people that can't believe the charts go up are never going to be the people that believe the charts can also do what? Go back down. That's why people keep getting stuck. And I'm trying to give you a glimpse of how Wall Street thinks, right? No, I'm not a Wall Street trader. No, I don't have a financial license, right? All for entertainment purposes only, right? But I'm doing quite candidly well, and I think a lot of my members are as well. You have to put in the work, right? No different from how I'm reading this chart. And anyways, going back to what I was trying to say here earlier in regards to the Nasdaq here, I said, right, watch for the velocity of the move, right? What does that mean? How strong and fast was this move, and why should this matter? Why should it matter was it took us about what? Look here, 8 bars, about 10 days here to go up 1.5% here. But in less than 3 days here, we just basically took out almost a little bit over 0.5% of that move here. So those are not things that I really want to see in a bullish market here. Obviously, right, we're really headline driven from the perspective of memory, from the perspective of chips, and in the entire market, right? Just because it's a bubble doesn't mean that you should just short it, right? Otherwise, we'd all be rich. So right here on the chart here, what I mean by that again is, right, the velocity of the move, how fast did we go down, right? That affects your EMAs, that affects your RSI. So if you can't understand the candlestick chart patterns, guys, you're gonna have a very, very hard time. And if you can't also combine the macro, the what, the why, the fundamental, the use case of the stock, and the technicals, right, which is the chart we're talking about now, it's always going to be a very, very, very difficult time. And I'm trying to help you guys avoid making major mistakes here in the market. Again, these are some of the mistakes that traders make. You know, I want all of you guys, if you're watching the video, to kind of demonstrate, what are you learning? Is there anything that I need to break down further? I don't know what I'm not saying, maybe, or articulating myself to the point where, you know, are you guys receptive to what I'm saying? Or are you having difficulty kind of understanding what I'm saying, right? Is it an issue of how I'm explaining things, or is it just an issue, right, that maybe we're new traders and maybe these are new concepts here that we don't understand? Again, from a perspective on the daily time frame of the SPY, we still have that 55 EMA institutional support. Let me go ahead and just type it in here, HB 55 EMA. We do have, again, dark cloud cover as well, along with the evening star, which is right here. Evening star circle, dark cloud cover here as well. So again, right, I'm looking for possibly, are we going to hold this level here at 772.67? Well, currently in the after hours, we are down negative 0.04% here, right? So we're going to undercut right here, retest and break out, or we're going to undercut and fully engulf this candle, and maybe for some other things over time that we have to obviously look out for. My upper extension levels for the week on SPY are 789, and then the lower side here, which you already took out, is 772.76. The next level down here is 767.22 here. Expect to move by Wednesday, if not chop. Going over here to a different time frame here. Again, people say candlestick chart patterns don't work. That's a lie, right? We have dark cloud cover. You can go ahead and just watch my videos. Again, if you haven't liked, shared, subscribed, leave a comment. Just let me know what I'm doing right. Let me know what I'm doing wrong, or what can help you out if there's any things that you want me to go over in my next videos here. Again, we have our dark cloud cover here, which is characterized by this wick above this candle here. We also have an evening star here as well. This is a rising 3 pattern as well. 1, 2, 3 up. Doesn't have to be 3 candles, right? You have to be creative with how you see chart patterns. That's what you have over here. If we go back to the Nasdaq over here, right, we have the following 3 methods. Gonna go back over here to SPY. So we have, right, not 3 candles exactly, but you have to be creative with how you see the market. If you were to drop your fibs here, I already have my Fibonacci video here on YouTube, which you can reference, right? You rejected this 50% line. You have a gravestone doji here, followed by an engulfing candle to the downside, right? Completing what? That following 3 reversal right here, okay? Going back over here to SPY. Obviously, we have our, again, gravestone doji, engulfing candle, things that you really don't want to see. 1, 2, looking for, maybe are we going to get that 3rd engulfing candle here to the downside, and maybe that's where we're going to take out what? Our 767 level here. I can't talk. 767 level here. Okay, maybe that's where we're going to get tomorrow. I don't know, but we have to do what? Prepare, right, for the next day here. We do have this 3rd candle here. Big fan of these candles here. Are we going to get a Morningstar reversal, which looks like what? Morningstar's reversal looks like what? Right here, right? 3rd candle here. Are we going to get a choppy day where we just barcode, which you can do, right? Look, you can barcode, right? It doesn't have to just be 3 candles, right? But this is a pattern, right, from a 4-hour time frame perspective that I really like to look out for, all the way up to obviously the daily as well. And again, people don't think candlestick charts work, right? Then why are we calling these things out every single day, to the point where, let's go ahead and reference Micron again, right? These things are real, guys. You don't have to believe them, right? But if you're going to commit to somebody, make sure that you really try to learn their strategy. It's going to take more than one day if it took somebody several years, right? And right, I lost money before I made money. Anybody that says they didn't is full of shit, okay? So I'm trying to teach you these patterns here so you don't make the same mistakes I used to make as a trader. Here in the after hours, trading flat, of course, here on the Nasdaq futures. Again, lots of divergence over what is divergence, right? Creating a higher high in RSI, but not on your, rather creating a higher high in the chart, but rather not your RSI. It can be vice versa sometimes. So you have negative divergence here, really negative divergence everywhere. Going over here to shout out to Knots here on Twitter for the gamma levels that I was using today. You can use code HBT to check out for a discount code. And again, kind of like what happened today, why did we trade flat here, right? The market was digesting what? So we didn't really quite have distribution. Distribution kind of looks to me more of like more engulfing candles here, kind of like this distribution, right? When you have net selling, right, distribution, obviously net selling looks like this below the 55, net buying looks like this above the 55 here. So really nothing for me to kind of be concerned about or to kind of over explain here. But again, we did have the 10-year yields, right, tick up to 4.72%, right? That's the exact pressure that pulls air out of the highest multiple names, and it did. Like software today, it fell 2.5%. I thought software was bullish. Well, all of a sudden it's not. Obviously the RSI was also overextended, so maybe that's also there from a technical perspective. And then obviously you have the macro perspective of the yields, right? But the money didn't leave the market, right? It just rotated. Semis were up 1.58% today. MU did clear $1,000, and again, we took that trade here, did really well here today. And basically, right, the market is cooling between the flag breakout and the highs, and also working out the software froth. So the levels to watch tomorrow are we do need to hold 728. We do need to reclaim 734 to 735 back to the highs. And obviously, if we lose the 55 EMA, which is the institutional level here at 713, right, this entire trend is going to be in trouble. From an SPX perspective, 7,776 is near the line. 7,817 is obviously the high that we need to reclaim. And again, the 55 pivot here is at 7,555. That's obviously your flush zone here. And from a futures perspective, 30,028 did hold today. The next levels to the upside are 30,283, right? That is a trigger to break these highs, in my opinion, up here. And again, below the 55 net sellers, that would be at 29,448. And this would obviously change the whole picture. But I think, again, we have to play what the market gives us. Every single time we have a pullback or we don't go up a billion points, everyone's like, oh my gosh, what happened? Why? It's not fair. Like, guys, relax. Like, the market's going to be open here in 8 hours. So the one thing I tell people is we really need to have discipline here in the market. You don't have to trade every single day. Take your time, guys. The trader that wants to get involved in all these trades up here, right? War zone, war zone, war zone, right? It's going to have no money left in their account tomorrow. I want people to have money in their account so they can trade and change their situation in life. Okay? So, right, really good zone to get involved with here, right? Is this a really good zone to get involved with here as well? What could you have done here in TradingView? Go ahead and use your price tool here. How far do you go up typically on the sign? 1.12%. How far did you go up here? Looks like about 0.92% here. So people going long here at close or open, doesn't matter if they're right or wrong, right? That's just not a level that I want to get involved with to where I want to go long on the market here when we're having all this volatility. And again, we're still having these macro issues with oil not being resolved. Again, I could argue now it's getting worse. Okay, we need oil. We don't need chips. We've been fine without chips. We need oil. We don't have it, right? What do we have? Depleting strategic oil reserves near a level that raises what? Concerns about damage to caverns and so forth in operations. Going here to NDFI again, just make sure to watch previous videos here. Please like, share, subscribe. It does help me get out against the algorithm on YouTube. I'm a small creator. Really helps me stay motivated to make these videos here. This is purely educational. I'm trying to give you again a glimpse into how Wall Street works, thinks. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm doing really well here. And everything combines together, right? The macro, the fundamental, the technical here. So, right, what is NDFI? The amount of stocks of the 100 Nasdaq, right, that are above their 50-day moving average. They tend to mark tops and bottoms. Am I saying that it's marking top and bottom? No, it's not a magic 8-ball. You do have to combine all the different things together, right, to get a big picture here. Obviously, we had a rejection here at this line here, so go ahead and mark it. I do want to see this curling up here. You did have a bull flag here. You broke out. Again, I'm just doing chart patterns on here. It's just a habit. Do you have to pay attention to chart patterns? No, but you should have your levels marked out here. And again, maybe a clue here today would have been what? Looking here at this chart, looking here at oil, which should come out here before pre-market, and then going over to your stocks, trying to figure out what's happening and why, right? So again here, textbook volume 3 here, combining some technicals, combining the macro, right? And then also kind of going back over here to the fundamentals of like index sector stock, like what stocks you're going to pick and why. There's only a few other creators here on YouTube that talk about that, right? We talk about the same thing. We all have our different twists and spins on it. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong, right? We're all trying to do what? Give you guys education, okay? So again, go back to go back to your point of control. Where are we at? Your point of control. This was marked in the last video here, which can be confirmed by watching the last video. This is a level that you definitely need to hold tomorrow. I do have notes here that say 728, but it really is 729. And again, in order to continue to the upside here, we do need to break these highs here, right? You don't have to get involved right here. You don't have to get involved right here, right? Again, sometimes the trades are what? Less than what? 2 minutes long here. There's always trades throughout the day, but it's all about finding your perfect sniper hollow point entry. Going over here to the memory sector here, we have our layers, Micron, SK Hynix, Western Digital, etc. All looks like the same chart. And one thing that I keep asking traders is, right, I think we're overthinking trades here. I don't want to trade a 2% Nasdaq. I want to trade the stocks that are actually moving what? The Nasdaq. That is a trading strategy. That is a concept. One of the best trading tips you have here is just use SOXL divided by QQQ when you're trading, day trading, obviously not financial advice. Right? SOXL goes down, typically market goes down, right? Again, not a magic 8 ball, but there's all these different tricks and sleeves we have, right? When the market's not showing us what's happening, we have an opportunity to do what? Understand maybe from our lens, our view of what actually is happening here. So again, right, memory did what today? Rocketed up. We took some trades on there along with Qs, and everybody, I think, quite candidly did well. But again, right, sometimes people are getting involved in what? Look at these stocks over here, right? I thought Reddit was bullish. What happened to Reddit? Down like 8% today, okay? Adobe, software, all of software sold off today. I thought software was still what? Bullish. No, right? What are they doing? Rotating from software back into what? What actually matters? Hardware, semis, memory. Going here to the financial sector, just showing off these chart patterns here again. Man, this is beautiful. Textbook falling 3 here. This is again marked and shown on the last video as well, right? Right here, everything connects. That's why you have to watch the videos, like, share, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Okay, falling 3 right here. Textbook chart patterns, financials, right? Typically, also when you see financials rollover, you do tend to see weakness and choppiness and rollovers within the market itself. Not a magic 8 ball, but just showing you a different ticker here. Exit left, right is what? The financial sector of the S&P 500, okay? Going over here for some possible longs here, which I'm kind of conflicted with. We do have Salesforce forming an inverse here. I was thinking about getting involved in a trade here today, but we did mark off our levels, which is always important because what? If we got trades here, active in the Discord, I don't think people have been too happy with how this ended up today. Down negative 2.67% here. It does have earnings, I believe, after the bell Wednesday or Thursday. The hard part for me justifying Salesforce is, right, it's just a software platform that obviously tracks clients on large platforms, sales, blah, 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 blah. Right? Is that needed? Like, do I need to get involved with something like Salesforce? I don't. Right? So then I was just like, I don't need to get involved with it. Let's move on to something else. Moving on to something else, speaking of literally figuratively and literally. Again, this was marked here. We had a resistance here. We do have a gravestone doji on the daily, but we do still have that 55 EMA support. For me, this is obviously going to be uppercase H, or it's not. My bottom level here, where I would not want to get involved, is possibly 543 here. But again, I'm not going to play the stocks. Just a different lens to see kind of how the sectors are doing here for semiconductors. I'd rather go ahead and play, Micron, the SK Hynix, SanDisk here. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but that's what I do plan to do here, right? And again, right, gravestone doji on the daily. We do have different time frames here. Obviously, we broke out here from our flag. Now we're rising up into what? Resistance here. Resistance means nothing until you do what? Break it. That's why you have to make the decision to either do what? You have to buy or sell. And again, that's what I try to teach people in the market. You have to buy or sell. You literally only have 2 options, guys. So you have to make your decision of what you are truly going to do. The hardest part for people is pressing that buy button. But if you know how to read charts here, you can go down here right to a 30-second time frame and get active at any point of the day and work with it. But if you don't press that buy and sell, you're always going to miss everything that's right in front of you, up and down. Going over here to Amazon, this was just a chart I was showing you earlier. This was again marked in the last video. You're forming an inverse head and shoulders. What also can you do if this inverse fails here, right? Just go ahead and just wipe off the chart right here. What can you do? Come back down here, have a quadruple bottom here, or triple bottom rather, excuse me. And you can still do what? Undercut and do what? Retest, undercut here. Let's say we come all the way down here. Undercut, retest, breakout, or obviously break down here. Not a stock that I'm going to get involved in right now, even though it does have what appears to be a bullish head and shoulders. Pro trading tip here, go ahead and inverse your chart. Everything is inverse, right? An inverse head and shoulders is no different from what? A head and shoulders. So if you inverse your chart here, right? What do you have? An inverse, bearishly speaking. So you have a bearish inverse as well. No different from how you have one to the upside. You always have one to the downside, which is again why everything technically is always in a 50-50 zone. It's always the opposite, right? Chart patterns are the opposite. Go to these charts here. Chart patterns are the opposite. I'm going to say it again. Chart patterns are the opposite, right? Here, opposite, right? Opposite here. Opposite here. Opposite here, right? We don't have to overthink trades, guys. Going over here to the SPY, again, levels to the downside are that 767 level I have here, 766 from a monthly perspective, or excuse me, rather weekly perspective here. Here are your levels to the downside here. Again, you can undercut right here, you can undercut down here, but again, this can also turn to what? An uppercase H or 3 white soldiers. Here's your doji right here, right? It would look like a Morningstar reversal, no different from here. It would look a little bit weird, but again, trying to give you some insights on how I view the market right now. Going over here to Western Digital Workday here. This is the software sector that sold down, part of the software sector that sold down 3.77% today. We also have Snowflake here, basically traded flat here today. Here's my targets, here's my entries, here's a stop loss. Going over here to SMCI, right, entry, target, stop loss. US 30 here creeping up again, right? Not good. When it starts to creep up, people would rather do what? Put their money in bonds because it's safer. That's bonds in a nutshell for the 30-year. And obviously we talked about how the 10-year was creeping up somewhere over here. Nebius here, shorts again. This was marked in the last video here. You had a resistance up here. I don't know what happened to it. It looks like it got erased here, but you do have a resistance, and you do currently have dark cloud cover, which is bearish here. Does that mean you're going to head down tomorrow? No, we have to watch the chart to see what they do in open. The best thing you can tell traders do is mark your opening, right? Your previous day high, previous day close, pre-market high, pre-market low, pre-market intra kind of high, and pre-market intra low. But again, you could just mark your opening price here on open. And again, the mistake that people make here, and again, you have healthcare sectors, you know, kind of rolling up here. I didn't really see that rotation here, so I'd have to check my charts later on. But I was going to finish. The mistake that people make here is you could just mark your chart here, you know, kind of at open. So let's say this is opening price here. You're going to have people, right, that trade, right, all the way down, or averaging down calls when you never even just broke your opening price here, right? That's why it's important to have what? Your levels marked open, okay? Going over here to some other stocks here. Traded flat here, MRK. And UNH traded down today, so I don't really know how the healthcare sector is up today. I'd have to look at some other stocks, maybe J&J or something like that here. And then we have our blank SPX chart here. If you guys found this video helpful, please like, share, subscribe. You know, I do this about, you know, I stream for about, guys, 8 hours a day. I'm going to have to pull back a little bit just because I've been doing a lot of things for free. I'm trying to put up a paywall. It's just hard. I think sometimes I just get frustrated. You know, I'm trying to help people, but I'm also trying to kind of, you know, like help myself. You know, I am a business, a small business. So, you know, if you guys find any content, you know, if you find anything helpful, you know, kind of spreading the word here. If you're not able to kind of contribute in that position here, I think candidly too, you just watching the video here contributes enough here. So, if you do watch these videos to the end, I do appreciate that. But you know, I am gonna try to put up a paywall. I've had it, I just haven't enforced it because I really do believe in giving everybody the ability to really make money. I try not to gatekeep. I tell people the exact indicators I'm using. I show people the exact Fibonacci levels I'm using. I create the videos here that people try to gatekeep and try to do boot camps on. I get it, I'm paid, someone's gonna try to say the same. But I really do try to give back here, you know, in any capacity I can, because I care about other people, you know. Life versus Mark 10:45. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to give his life as a ransom of many and to serve. I'm not saying I'm Jesus, not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying here is I'm really trying to help people, and you know, I'm trying to give back, but also it would be nice to kind of, you know, get something back and also in return for kind of the work that I'm doing every day. If you guys have any questions, concerns, any questions or comments about the Discord, signups, live streams, how they work, go ahead and just pop in the Discord. Here's my Discord, Hollow Point Trading. And again, these are my trades here that I give every day. And again, I try to give them out tick for tick. You know, this was last Friday. I can go on and on and on. But all these things, guys, I put them out every single day. I pour everything I have into this. This is all I got, right? You know, I went all in, and, you know, I really take great pride in kind of what I do. So, without further ado, hope you guys have a great night. Hollow Point Trading out. Take care, pay it forward. That's what I care about.